Coming, we have a wonderful workshop plan called When Pride Isn't Working, Tools for BIPOC People Who Still Don't Feel Valid, which I feel is quite appropriate, especially coming off that wonderful session on BIPOC lives. Permit me to introduce the speaker. Floralie Resa is a BIPOC activist and writer focused on supporting BIPOC communities in the French-speaking world. She works closely with grassroots activists to build autonomous spaces that reflect the specific needs and identities of BIPOC people. She is particularly known in France for her theoretical work on systematic biphobia, including her essay, The Architecture of Biphobia, which presents an alternative framework that positions biphobia as a distinct consequence as homophobia rather than sexism. Her work centers on BIPOC women partnered with men and the importance of the BIPOC community autonomy. She has a PhD in geochemistry and currently works to promote and support the public impact of environmental research. She is the author of lécher, jusqu'à, de meufs et lesbianisme, a work in defense of trans women in lesbian and BIPOC spaces. Please lead us, Floralie.
Hello, I didn't know that the presentation would be like at the beginning, so I would have written something different for the biography, but thank you for the introduction. So yes, I will share my screen. Just tell me if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. And if you can see my screen. Great. So yes, when pride is not enough. That's my workshop for today. Yeah, so you already introduced me, so I will not introduce myself again. I have an area of interest specifically about bi women in straight relationship and bi mental health. So what is this workshop? First, I will introduce what is pride and how it works, why it may fail by people, and introduce then self-compassion, which is a psychological tool that may suit better by people. And then we will if you want to join in a collective exercise where we will try self-compassion applied to bi struggle. And at the end, if you want, you can bring home a memo about self-compassion for bi people. So how pride works. Pride is a psychological way to help ourselves when we feel bad by making us feel better by making us better or making others smaller. Or there's this other way, which is like the rule, like if I lose, I win, which means that if I make my struggle recognized, I can be perceived as more worthy. It's like a very normal psychological coping mechanism. It can be bad sometimes. We usually call it narcissism when we inflate our ego, demean other people, and especially more vulnerable people. Or if we guilt trip people or victimize ourselves. But it's a very okay and even a very positive strategy for many people because, for example, make myself better, it can be like improving myself or having a good self-talk. Making others smaller, it can be good if I give less importance to people who oppress me or institution. If we fight also like institution, we try to make them smaller in a way. And it's also totally valid and good when we reclaim stigma for stigma neutralization or when we do activism for more vulnerable population. Pride, the queer pride, the gay pride, the lesbian pride is totally in this category of a coping mechanism, and it may fail by people. Because, for example, the way we have dealt with homophobia was to increase the perceived value of our homosexuality. But it doesn't work well with bi people when they don't have good connection with LGBT space or when they are less connected to homosexuality. Because, for example, many bi people don't have a homosexual relationship. And so this increase of our perception of homosexuality doesn't serve this type of bi people. When queer pride decide to defend ourselves against homophobia, we also try to give less importance to straight society, normativity, and we tried to make this smaller so that we can feel better when we were oppressed. But this, once again, very good for gay and lesbian people, not working very well for bi people because it can bring shame to one part of ourselves when we perceive that one part of us is less desirable. And once again, the last one, when we try to make our struggle recognized, very good for LGBT activism. We fought so that homophobia and transphobia got recognized. We fought so that it can be registered as a bad thing in our laws. But for bi plus people, we need to remember that one stereotype against bi people is that we are privileged. It's a very common stereotype about bi plus people. So when bi plus people complain, we are usually treated like we are ungrateful or attention seeking. So once again, it was very good for LGBT activism, but it may be particularly bad for bi plus people. So what is self-compassion and why it may be better for bi plus people? Self-compassion is a psychological tool who were introduced by the researcher Ness in the early 2000s, if I remember well. And it's based on three things: self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. So I have copied this citation from Neff from 2011. This person said, self-compassion provide, okay, it's covered partly by, okay, here, I can read it. Self-compassion provides greater emotional resilience and stability than self-esteem, but involves less self-evaluation, ego defensiveness, and self-enhancement than self-esteem. Whereas self-esteem entails evaluation oneself positively and often involves the need to be special or above average, self-compassion does not entail self-evaluation or comparison with others. Rather, it is a kind, connected, and clear-sighted way of relating to ourselves, even in instances of failure, perceived inadequacy, and imperfection. And I really like this citation because I discovered it by doing something like some work on psychology, not something really related to bi people. Because when I read failure, perceived inadequacy, and imperfection, for me as a bi woman, I immediately felt that it was something very common for bi people, feeling that we were inadequate in the straight society and inadequate in LGBT spaces, feeling that we were a failure to be good homosexuals when we didn't have enough gay or lesbian relationships, and feeling that we had a lot of imperfection. So when we try to prove that we are queer enough, that our orientation is better than others or more vulnerable than others, this is us trying to access pride, queer pride. And while this strategy may not work for us, I want us to try, give a try to self-compassion to see if it suits us better. So let's do this together. If you have a notebook or you can open a Word document, I will ask you to think about a recent situation where you felt judged or invalidated because of your bi plus identity. Let's give us 1 or 2 minutes just to write it down. Just the last time you felt bad about being bi plus. Someone made fun of you, you saw a post on Instagram who was demeaning with bi people. Just let's do that. So it's 1739. You write it down, and then at 41 we will do the next step. I'm not sure I can read the chat, but like let's keep it for ourselves for the moment. Maybe after we can share about what we did. Okay, so let's go to the next step. First, self-kindness. I want us to try to find a way to speak kindly to ourselves about the situation. I have done this workshop with bi women in the past, and it was very difficult to see that some of the participants were not used to speak kindly to themselves. It would be stuff like "you can do better," "you are over that," and so on. I really want us to speak with a comforting tone. So I put this little illustration with the person who said, "What you went through wasn't easy." You can just write a little sentence where you speak to yourself, but really with the most nice and kind sentence, something you would offer a friend who would be struggling. So once again, let's write that on our little paper. And then let's move to the next step. Common humanity. So this time it's this step make us connect with people who struggle like us. So I want us to think about another bi person, someone who you know. It can be like another activist, a friend, or even you imagine someone who's bi, and reflect on whether this person might also feel the same while living the same situation. If this friend or this activist or this imaginary bi plus person was facing the exact same situation, would they feel the same value? And I would like you to write a sentence that reflect on this connection. So this time I put this little illustration where someone says, many of us feel this way and it is normal. So let's write down something that express this shared humanity and this shared struggle with people similar to us. Okay, let's move on to the next step. Mindfulness. The purpose is to stay connected to our body, to be grounded, and to have like a clear vision of how we feel. So let's begin with something simple to ground ourselves. I will ask you to choose one color. It can be one color from the bi or pan flag, and to look in your environment and find 3 objects that are the same color. I will choose blue, and I have mine. I hope you got your colors. Then you will try to hear what is happening in your environment. And I want to notice 3 sounds, different sounds. It can be like children making noise in the street, your fridge making weird noise, the thing on the window. I will remove my headphone just to do that also. And then I will ask you to identify 3 things that are touching your body. It can be your clothes, the chair beneath you, something on your collar, your hair, touching your ears. 3 things touching your body. And then we will think about this emotion. When you think about this bad experience, what emotion are you feeling? Are you feeling angry, sad, afraid, ashamed? Let's write it down. I will ask you also to rate your emotion. It's like 0, no emotion, 10 is unbearable emotion. It can be like something little, it can be bigger. I think for myself, it's just like 2 over 10 because it's not that big. And I will ask you finally if you are minimizing your emotion or exaggerating your emotion, or if it's just the right amount and it's just the way it is. Okay, we have done that. And now it's time for feedback. So I will ask if it's possible to have a conversation about that, how you feel, if someone feel safe sharing about what they try to, what experience they try to like deal with self-compassion. And I don't know if I can see like the chat.
If anybody
I'll
wants
see
to
the,
talk out loud, feel free to use the Zoom to raise your hand and I could get that to you.
I'll see the chat. Someone said there's a lot of academics in this audience. We are already hard on themselves. Yes, that's right. For myself, if nobody wants to share, I remembered a Instagram post where someone was making demeaning comment about bi women. I wrote, it's not easy to see that in your feed over and over again. And then I wrote, a lot of bi people are very tired to see this type of content, and we are angry and sad, and that's normal. And I felt my emotion was tired. 2/10. Does someone else want to share about their own experience? Okay, so we have Theobista post on Twitter that said nasty things about bi people in response to bi visibility post. I love how they represent themselves needlessly malicious, like he just gave her herpes and she's on her way to give it to a lesbian. Oh yeah, that's bad. Not sure I can say I felt bad about it, but it was still violent. I am valid just the way I am. Yes, very good self-talk. We can support and uplift each other via our community. You choose white, black, and red, and you were listening to my voice, being Discord, being me moving stuff on my computer, caution, and so on. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I think we arrive at the end. If someone else wants to share. Okay. So if nobody wants to share, I just want to send you the link if you want to have the memo to download it in order to have it with you and use it when needed. I want to share personally that it's a tool that is very useful for many different situations, not only for bi struggle. I personally use it a lot when I feel ashamed, when I'm feeling I'm failing, when I'm not proud of myself, or when some people are mad or mean with me. Thank you so much for the occasion to talk to you today. I think we have 10 more minutes, so I will stay here if people want to chat or share something about that.
Thank you very much. That was quite needed at this time, and we always appreciate seeing you here. As mentioned, we do have some time for some questions in general, but I'll start off by asking the speaker. Here at the conference, we have to, we are asking ourselves to think about some past events in our lives and in our community. What advice would you have for people to give themselves some self-compassion just for now, just for the weekend?
Sorry, the last sentence, can you repeat it?
Some advice for self-compassion in the very short term to get through today.
Oh, self-compassion. Just for today, we have seen a lot of very hard topic about like domestic violence, for example, from the last panel. And I think it's important as a group to feel as much compassion for ourselves as BIPOC community, but also to feel this self-compassion, this common compassion for all the people who are struggling, who are not visible. I don't know if it's what you were having in mind, but yes, I think as a community, we can like give ourselves more compassion.